Hey everybody, Larry Bailey here. Welcome to another community event. Today is September 3rd and it is 4 p.m. Eastern. We get together. Today's a really special day for me. It's a really special day, hopefully for you, because we are going to talk to someone who I tracked down. We're going to invite him on. You might know his name if you are, especially if you're a loan officer. His name is Ken Perry. He's with the Knowledge Coop, and we're going to invite him in here. We're gonna swap stories, and I'm going to tell you exactly how I stalked Ken, and stalked Knowledge Coop, and why it's an important part of how we're bringing up through Mastering Encompass. More importantly, this is really all about bringing great value to you as a team. And so here's Ken and his magical green screen. Ken, welcome.
Thank you. Good to be here. This is normally I'd be in one of our other studios, but this was the only one available. So a little behind the scenes action.
I was there. That's where that's the desk I shot my promos from.
Yeah, that is. Yep.
So for everybody else just joining, today's a big day. For all those that have been with me for, it's been 11, 12, in some cases 13 years. So I'll go with 12 to round up. But 12 years of bringing together all the education stuff, and we packed it into a formalized package of lessons for the Mastering Encompass for users. And so today isn't really a sales pitch. It's really just an explanation. I want to take questions from everybody. I want to really introduce you to Ken. I want to introduce you to Knowledge Coop, and go through that story. So having said that, I want to first of all explain that I found Knowledge Coop because I wanted to go back to being somebody who had an MLO license, right? And so my NMLS ID, I got back in the day. I actually thought, Ken, funny story, I thought when the NMLS first came out, I'm like, it's never going to work. It's never going to stick. And so I put off getting my NMLS number. I probably could have got like a 4-digit one, but mine's 6. And so I got it, and then I let it go because I got into the technology side in 2011. For those remember, I went to work for Ellie Mae, and it was important for me to go back about, I guess it was 2 years ago, went and got back my MLO license, and literally I'm out there Googling, and I'm like, what the hell is Knowledge Coop? Like, let me check these guys out. And so you're doing a video, Ken. And if you've never seen Knowledge Coop videos, you need to, everybody watching this, go just Google Knowledge Coop. And all you do is compliance. And what struck me, Ken, I'll let you do your intros here in a second, but what struck me was Knowledge Coop took stuff that is traditionally really boring, right? It's compliance. Like, how fun can you be? And it was just the art of the craft of making it enjoyable to watch and not feel like it's a drag. And I'm like, that's what I do with this boring stuff with Encompass. Like, that's me. And so the truth of it was, after I took Knowledge Coop, and I passed, by the way, it was a great experience, and actually put Alex Elmendorf, who's one of my daughters, she wanted to go through MLO training, and she went through it, and she actually did really well in the course, but decided MLO was not her thing. And so what happened was, I'm in Knowledge Coop, and you can chat with folks. So I'm literally, like we do in the community here, I'm literally hitting up Ken through Instant Messenger, and he's completely ignoring me, won't return anything. And so I'm like, hey, I really think it would be really cool if we could get Encompass training in here, because it's a great format and this kind of thing. And so what ends up happening is earlier this year in March, I'm at the Lenders One conference. And finally, one way or another, probably through some kind of guerrilla tactic marketing that I use, I got to some of your people, Ken, and I'm like, hey, we got to meet. And we had a meeting, and I'm literally in the conference hall after the conference on my computer, doing a video share explaining the idea. And really, since March up until now, it's been hard work. And kudos to the Knowledge Coop team for helping put this together. And for everybody else, like, I can't wait for you to see it and how it works. I'll kind of bring it up on screen. But what I wanted to do was really use this time to introduce and really paint the story of this guy, Ken, who completely ignored me. So Ken, I wanted to give you a chance to really write the information, give out the correct information, and then tell your side of the story.
Well,
How's
and I
that?
think when you first flew out here, you flew all the way here and I wasn't even here. Something had happened that I had to go tend
No,
to. I'm
you
trying
were
to remember what it
there.
was.
No, you were there for the first time I went, and
Yeah.
you said hi, but you were literally in between meetings, so we had like 5 minutes. But then when I was going to come back out and actually do all the promos and all this stuff, you were sick. You had
Oh,
just gone,
COVID.
yeah,
That
you
was
got hit
COVID
with
time. Yeah,
COVID
COVID
time.
part 3. Yeah, I've had it 3 times now, so that was the 3rd time. And I was down and out that week. That was definitely not a good week to hang out. But my side of the story is, yes, you had messaged me and you did it right because I don't read my emails. And so people who are like, I've been emailing you, I'm like, that's a really bad idea. And so but you had done it through our system. I saw it. I passed it on to our team as I do. And then somehow you got, from my understanding, is I think you were lost in the shuffle somewhere with the team. We were going through some things, and then you pop back up, and everybody's like, "Oh, your buddy Larry Bailey's coming into town," and I'm like, "Yeah, my buddy Larry. That's awesome. I'm so glad he's coming in."
Who's Larry?
I know. I'm like, "What, Larry Bailey?" I hear your name in my office all the time now, and so
It's
yeah, it
funny.
was super funny.
Sorry, my
But I was
apologies.
so excited to see you when you came back when you were coming back, and I was like, soon as I figured out I tested positive for COVID, and this was in like late May, I think. And my only thought is I had a big golf tournament coming up in June, and I'm like, at least I got it before the tournament this time, so I
Oh
could
my
get
God,
better
yeah.
before then. But yeah, I would still love to be here when you're here. I'm traveling through Thanksgiving so far, so this is my only
Well, this
week
is your
on
go
campus.
season. No,
Ah,
you're flying. So,
fantastic.
so real quick for everybody, because not everybody knows who Knowledge Coop is. Do you mind just giving like a quick 1-2 on what it is?
Yeah, sure. Knowledge Coop, actually, we began in 2003. I started the company as a new loan officer training company. And you'll love this. I haven't told you this story, but when I first started, all I wanted to do is help loan officers be successful because I was an account executive watching them fail. And I'm like, they're not getting trained. That's why they're failing. Training, I don't know why this industry doesn't respect training, but like, I couldn't watch it anymore. I had to go after and like start training people. When I did, I called Calix and I said, "Hey, I was a point freak. Like I used point my whole loan officer career. I could show you magic on point." And so I called Calix. I'm like, I'm starting to train all these new people. Would you be, could you send me some of your materials so that I could use your actual materials and promote you within my class? And the response I got was, "Mr. Perry, we do not authorize you to train on any of our material. You are not allowed to do that. Please cease immediately." And I was like, that's not what I
Wait,
thought it was gonna.
wait. So for everybody who knows that I've been like this is going back before Ice Mortgage Technology. So this is the conversation that I had with Ellie Mae when I was working for Kenzie Mae, building up Kenzie Mae University. They were like, please stop using Encompass to help people learn
Oh,
how to use
really?
Encompass. Please stop. Oh, it was a big thing. It's a huge thing.
Wow.
Huge thing. And so, yeah, I mean, it was soul crushing. I'm not making this up. Like it was soul crushing. So not to
Mhm.
step on your story, but
No, that's
I was there. I was there.
yeah. Well, and the sad part about that is when Encompass first started, I loved them because they were new. I spoke for them out in Livermore. Went out and did a speech on cybersecurity and identity theft. This would have been in '05 or whenever they kicked off.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I was there on the ground floor thinking these guys really want to educate the industry, but they make a lot of money off the services.
Yeah.
So yeah. So anyway, I was training loan officers on how to do loans right, and then I read a law, and I'm like, wait, I really like reading laws, and I read another one, and I found
You're so
out
weird.
well, I love fixing problems. I love solving puzzles and fixing problems, and I love helping people. And so a law is just a puzzle, right? You're figuring out all the things they ever said about it. And I call regulators. I'm like, what did you mean by this? What did you mean by that? And like some of my heroes in the industry are Dan with the CFPB who wrote the yellow comp rule. Like I like this when he's talking. Um, because they know what they're talking about, and all I want is the truth. And so I get the truth and I deliver it. And I found I could do that and make people laugh. And that was really what took off the whole compliance side of the business. And then they passed the laws around PE and CE. So then we start doing that. And then we became known as a compliance company. And so we do all the annual compliance training for our clients. We deliver it through our technology, the Knowledge Coop. We built that technology with a sister company. I bought that company in 2020, actually like in March of or February 2020, I signed the paperwork to buy that company. And now we're a technology that our clients use as their company's intranet, their company's training platform. And then we just deliver really funny and fun, but deeply researched training. And that's the difference. We're not gimmicky. We're not boring. We're a perfect mix of fun and deep learning.
So on that note, so share hands, right? There are 30 some odd people here. Training is one of those things that, again, I'm changing my paradigm. For those that are kind of follow me, you're going to start to see me involve the word coach more, because companies are against training, but they're okay with coaches. As a matter of fact, it's becoming more prevalent to where if you don't have a coach, you're kind of poo-pooed. Like, what do you mean you don't have a coach? And so, the idea of training, right? And so one of the cool things, and I'm going to share screen here. Oh, I'm being rude. First of all, Ken, thanks for that story. So what was interesting about the parallels here, you learn, as much as I said you're weird, like I'm making fun of you because you like to read rules. I stare at Encompass jargon all day. Like, I'm the weirdest of the weird. I'm the guy trying to motivate everybody to be like, oh guys, look at this brand new update and look at this cool thing you could do in Encompass now. And they're like, dude, like what? Like, it work. Like, what do you mean you're excited about that? I'm like, no, you don't get it. Like, this means you can do all these other things now. So yeah, I'm a total Encompass geek.
By the way, shout out to Sean in the chat too. I was just shouting out Sean in the chat, Knowledge Cube member. What's funny about Encompass is, like, I was the top producing loan officer of my company, and I credit it with my ability to use our LOS, because as soon as I got on the phone with somebody, I'm like, okay, you need a debt consult worksheet. You need a purchase versus rental. I mean, like, I knew my documents and I knew how to do everything. And I would close loans that way. Like, and then I talk to people and I'm like, are you guys using these extra things? And they're like, I mean, they're using it like they might as well use Excel. Like, they were just using it in the most basic way. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, this tool will make you money.
So that perfect segue, nicely done, Ken. So this is, if you've never seen Knowledge Coop, if you don't have one, this is the technology that powers it all. And so I definitely would encourage you, if you're watching this and you'd like to learn more, of course, reach out to Knowledge Coop. Ken, do they just call like the 1-800 Knowledge Coop, or what do they do if they have any questions? Just go to knowledgecoop.com. And
go to knowledgecoop.com. You can fill out a demo form or just email sales@knowledgecoop.com.
Perfect. And so for me, what ended up happening was I broke this training up. There's about 230 different videos, which is insane. It ends up being about 20 hours worth of training. And for me, it was always overwhelming. And I will tell you that the process to break this down into core training. So for anybody who's watching this in terms of training, the idea is this is like a self-serve. And again, Ken, you're probably going to say this better than me, but it's a way to self-serve. So I create this gets updated, and then literally anybody who has a Knowledge Coop admin gets alerted that there's an updated module or updated series, and then they can suck it into their company to serve up to their team members. How'd I do?
You did great. Yeah, you did great.
And so in here, gang, the reason why I did not put admin training in here, that's still over at Mastering Encompass, is because this is really about teams. And like what Ken was just saying, my biggest advantage when I was producing was I could get through the system in a third or even 25% of the time versus anyone else, which means I could talk to more people and get more business done. Same thing for my processors and closers and underwriters when I ran a company. And so within here, again, I'll just go to dashboards as an example. And so I break everything down into these videos. So this is really what it's all about. And for you as admins, the reason why this is an important call is because if you don't have a piece of technology to serve up lessons to your teams, this is something that you can leverage. So in the back of my mind also, Ken, part of what the community does is we serve up this information, right, guys? We come across all these things. Like as an example, earlier today, we had, right, if we come back over, let's see if I can get this to work properly. We had a post, last week, We did an update, and Brian went over there and added in his JSON of his workflow engine rule that he said he would do, which is great. Well, now that goes into your system, and now Jill went up and said, "Hey, listen, it's great, thanks, Brian, and now I'm going to have these notifications, these schedules to go out to do business." But now you have to send something out to your company and hope they understand. And as Ken said, one of the things I'm always advocating for is making sure you're leveraging the tools that you have. And if you don't have one of these tools to come through to build out this updated training to notify your teams of what they're going to do, think about this. It's relatively inexpensive, like seriously relatively inexpensive compared to what you're getting. And then also from a user standpoint, the one thing I've heard for 11 years is companies don't know how to use Encompass because it's too much. It's too big. There's a lot of change that's happening. We just had 24.2 rollout. We're going to have 24.3 rollout in literally 2.5 months. And you guys know I do my walkthroughs on there, which none of that's going to change. It's always going to be found at mortgage.community. But this is by far, this is one of the biggest rollouts for Encompass user-based training that I've ever done, and that probably has ever been done. I don't know if that's totally true, but it certainly feels true. So Ken, thanks for following through and coordinating everything. And I really just wanted to take the time to introduce the community to you, and take on any questions if anybody has them. There were some updates that, in case you didn't know this, if you're using TPO, I did want to bring up one thing that I came across earlier today, because I am that Encompass geek. So again, if you go over to the release notes, if you're using TPO Connect, there is an update to TPO. Now, if I can get my act together here, down here. So I noticed that there's a September pack coming out on 5th. So keep in mind that is coming out. If you didn't know that, it's hard to stay up with the updates, but that is happening. And you'll notice that if we come out to just standard Encompass, we don't have anything coming out. So it's just specifically for TPO to get TPO Connect to update with some of the fields that were dropped in Encompass Web last month. So Ken, as far as Knowledge Coop, what would you say is the most, from all the clients that you help, because I know you help a couple 10, 20,000, right? I mean, I don't know how big it is, but it's
50,000 users.
50, I'm so sorry. 50?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
50,000. So, training is what you've tried to manage. What would you tell the group that's here, who are a lot of admins who obviously don't have a lot of time, right? A lot of times they're their own person. They're trying to manage everybody doing something some way, and updates are coming out. What have you found that's really worked for all size organizations to help manage, admins' days, especially using Knowledge Coop?
It's systems, right? Everything's systems. And we actually hired a chief strategy officer last year who completely changed the world for us, because everything goes into a system. Nothing is dangling out there. It's all just press button, and make things happen. And with the Coop, one of the really cool things is when Encompass training needs to be assigned out. So there's an onboarding for people with Encompass history, and there's an onboarding class for people with, other non-Encompass. They've never used Encompass. So as an admin, you just go assign this new person all the onboarding with all the Encompass training, because it's daunting to move from one company to another and have to learn all the systems plus all the technologies that they're using. And if somebody comes from a non-Encompass background, then having something you've built out, being able to leverage your training, Larry, and be like, oh, there you go, super easy. Now you're going to go do that, pass some tests, prove that you know what you're doing with using it. And now you're going to make a more successful user. So a lot of it's just somebody comes in the door, their onboarding training will be these platforms, and it's all just boop, and you just assign those out. So it's systematizing as much as you can. That's really valuable.
Yeah, I know that from the folks, again, for the folks that that are on this call, and for those that are probably going to watch this replay, it sounds easy, right? It sounds like, oh yeah, okay, just sign up and apply and it's done. And I know it never goes that way. So from a rollout perspective, again, because you've been doing this for so long in this end, biggest failures, what would you say is like the number one easiest thing to say, you know what, great intentions, just horrible execution? What have you seen go sideways?
Oh man, can I talk about rolling out the coop? What we've seen go
Sure.
sideways?
Yeah, of course. That's
Okay.
easy.
When we first started the company, we just gave people the keys and we're like, enjoy. And we uploaded all their people in, and then we're like, have at it. And we have to remember when you're adopting a new technology, it's not something you're used to, and there are no habits built. And so when you roll out a tech, you need to also roll out the amount of training necessary on the technology. And what's funny is it's a training technology. And so how could we not do the best training on our own platform, right? So, but I mean, we were just like, it's easy to us. So I think one of the biggest things, having grace for users, and patience for users, knowing that new things are not easy to adopt, right? And so then you go, if I were sitting in that seat, what would I want? Like, how would I like to be treated? So when we do it, initially it was like, yeah, you get an onboarding person, then we'll see you later, have a great time. And now our client success team is just all the time. Like, if you want to assign a training, just call us. Like, we'll walk you through it. And if you're calling us every time you do it, it means we're not doing a very good job training you. But that was our biggest thing, is just, it wasn't an event, it was just a thing. And
Gotcha.
and big launches need to be big events. And I think about how much people pay for technology, that over the last 2 years, it's been a giant, like every company over the last 2 years, like, which technology do we use and which ones are we not using enough? And let's get rid of all the ones we're not using enough. And it's
Yeah.
like, why does it take a sucky market for us to go identify what we're spending money on, we shouldn't be spending money on? And so instead of waiting until you have no more money and you need to cut things, how about proactively go, hey, we're using 20% of our users are using this technology. We're paying for 100% of our users. Cool. Then how do we get the other 80? And so in a lot of that, it's just saying, look, this is not working. And then it's not working usually because of a training problem. And then how do we then feature our best users and deliver that? So like an Encompass training, if you're delivering it through the Coop, you're going to get all of your trainings are in there, but then a company can go in and go add video, me, and on their phone be like, hey, you guys, I'm about to sign you some Larry Bailey training. Like, it's going to be amazing as a Compass, but with our company, this thing is something I wanted you to know. Add that to the series assigned out. So it's the more personal you can make it, and the more you can focus on that. More you can focus on accountability around training.
Yeah.
When we roll out Coops, people are like, well, what do we do if they don't do their training? And the stuff we bring in is all the annual compliance training. So they're fired.
Yeah. You're
And so
not allowed to stay employed. Thank you.
yeah, and we all,
Right.
like, in the beginning where they're like, well, nobody does anything. And I'm like, okay, you have a culture problem. Like, if nobody does anything, they don't respect the company and their need to get this stuff out there, right? So we always say, cut off their Encompass access if they don't complete the training. Like, sorry, you don't
Yeah.
get to use it
You got to
anymore.
do it somehow.
How you
You
gonna
know,
do loans?
it's funny because, and again, for everybody else watching this, like, we did not script this. Like, Ken and I literally got together like 5 minutes before this call and like, hey, what are we talking about? So, so for those that, again, have been watching me over the years, Ken, for me, it's always about exploiting what you have before going exploring something else, always. And so
Yep.
earlier this year, we did a couple of episodes on, going to find money in your own company. Most of all, obviously, looking at the things that you're using and how you're using them, and do you need to keep on using them? So a lot of times what I found is when somebody realizes how systems actually work, they're like, oh yeah, we don't need that.
Yeah.
It's not even like they're not even deciding not to use it. They're just like, yeah, we don't even use that anymore because we don't need to. And it's part of why I wanted to make sure that so many people go, like you said it perfectly. Hey, I use Encompass. Yeah, but you haven't used this company's Encompass. Like, we need this personalized. Everything that I did was general, but spoken to the idea of, this is how, if I could like put my brain in your head for a minute on how you should use Encompass to be the best, whether it's core training or whether it's the best role for loan officer, processor, underwriter, closer, secondary, or manager. That's what I want to get out of my head and get into everybody else's. So awesome. Does anyone have any? Go ahead.
I was gonna one more thing. It's funny when people say, like, we replace SharePoint for a lot of companies. And
Okay.
so they'll come to us and be like, we need to replace SharePoint. And I'm like, cool, you'll replace the technology. What will you do about the humans? Because putting me in is not going to solve the problem that the current admins aren't managing the system properly. So we have to address both when we launch. If you think you're just going to throw the knowledge coop on and all the problems you have of your admins not uploading the proper things or not updating, you're not going to fix your problem. And so we have to look at both technology and humans need to be optimized at the highest level. And you can't just optimize your tech. You need to do both.
I love that. Sean, so you got a couple fans, Sean
Oh,
Foote.
hey,
You know
nice.
Sean.
Hey,
Yeah. For anyone have any questions for Ken? Again, we're not going to see Ken's shadow for like the next 3 months because he's going to be.
You'll see me. I'll just be on
around.
video from someplace.
You know, so when it comes to compliance, because we do have to manage compliance, like admins do have to manage compliance from a lot of different places. You're in the middle of it, like that's all you're doing all day long. Best practice for those that are here and listening, like even if they're not using Coop, right? Let's just say their company's like, great idea, not a good fit right now. What would you suggest to those folks to stay updated?
Okay, it occurred to me that you have admins of Encompass. I know that that's what this call is, but like, I'm like, oh my gosh, you know what I get to do is say, be bold with your executive team. If you are managing your software and you're adminning your LOS, be bold on the things that are non-negotiables. And what we find is if you're not willing to be bold, then your CEO or your executive team might make the wrong decision. And the one thing I keep thinking of is the lead source box in an LOS or wherever your lead source box is. And so much of the problems the CFPB is having right now is that lead source box is unlocked, and it should always be locked from the moment you start, and it should be locked all the way through. And the only person who can change it should be a compliance person. So a lot of times the problem ends up being that the admins of a system are seeing something and people aren't listening to them, or maybe they don't know that that's going to be a problem. So stay educated on everything so you know in the piece of the company that you're responsible for that you're doing that right, because I've seen it done wrong way too often. So I would say if you go to Q Plus, so we just launched Q Plus last year, and if you go into Q Plus, there's an app for it, but you can go in there and see all the things that we're creating. We create a lot of training videos that we just release. And so track all of that too, because I read everything. And then sometimes I read something, I go, wait, is that real? And then a week later I read it again. I'm like, oh, dang, that's real. There's a couple new things that have just recently happened, like the seller financing being under Truth in Lending Act, according to the CFPB. There's a lot that's just happening that you want to pay attention to, because it's everybody's role.
And it's not, I mean, don't take this the wrong way. It's not expensive, right? I mean, it's for the Coop Plus, it's $30 a month. And I do see that as an option. So I think everybody on the call, if you can, and not that you want to be in compliance, but I know you all get questions about what should be done or what shouldn't be done. And I know you rolled in AI and where you can ask questions in there. How's that been going for you?
Dude, it's so funny. We talk about AI and people are like, and then we show people it and they're like, holy crap, did it just do that? Like, our AI tool is freaking amazing. I don't know why anybody would use anything to search for guidelines. I could beat any system out there, including Ask Polly, using their own guidelines. I can beat them all with Q Plus and just ask the question. The best part is you go, can I do this on FHA? And it answers you. And it's like, here's where I found that. And then you can go, can you write a letter to my underwriter explaining this? And then it writes a letter to your underwriter explaining the guideline, referencing the guideline. It's unbelievable. Like, we've priced it way too low. It's really stupid, but our goal is to help people do better, right? And so if you get your answers faster and you save underwriters from answering dumb questions, which there is such a thing as a dumb question, there's a lot of them. Yep. And so if you can save the underwriter from having to answer all of these questions, then you just get it fixed. Yeah, AI is part of the annual plan. You get a certain amount of prompts with your first bunch. But what we're finding is the people that are using it are freaking loving it. It saved deals. We demoed it and it saved a deal on the demo. Because an underwriter was saying something incorrect. And it's like, sometimes underwriters go, well, we've never been able to do that. And it's like, well,
all right. So you know what everybody's thinking that nobody's saying is, when are we going to get Coop AI to actually learn Encompass not guidelines, but Encompass settings and Encompass information, so we can just ask, where do I go to do this thing? Because we haven't done it in like a year.
Yeah, we're doing it. So we're basically launching for Coop companies. So for people that use the Knowledge Cube as their platform for training, they'll be able to ingest whatever they want. So they can ingest all of the user manuals and everything, and it'll just answer your questions for you.
Okay.
It's crazy how accurate it is. But the problem is you have to lock it in a room and only teach it those things. Like if I put Encompass manuals into a room with FHA guidelines, the AI gets a little confused.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I gotcha.
So we have to keep it separate and not in Gen Pop.
Angie asks, is your compliance training just for mortgage?
Yeah, sadly, we get this question a lot. Real estate and insurance seem like they make sense, but all of our stories are for mortgage. I've been in this industry since '98, so everything we've done is mortgage related. Though every year we have a meeting, we're like, should we? We would just need to get somebody in real estate insurance or wherever that would do that would be able to deliver what we need. And then don't ever tell Claire we just had this conversation, because that would mean her team would have to triple, and she already manages a lot of content on this team.
Claire, don't watch this replay. You're not allowed to
I
watch this
know.
replay.
Yeah. And we have, I mean, in there, we have 100 hours of training we've released over the last 3 years that is non-compliance related. So how to read a credit report, appraisal report, how to understand who is Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. So all that stuff. I mean, it's our goal to leave this place different than the way I found it. And we're not there yet. So we'll just continue delivering great training until everybody's doing it right.
Love it, Ken. If anybody does contact Coop, if you're not currently a client, just let them know you found out about it through Mastering Encompass. And Ken said you get the first 100 years for free or something like that. I'm not really sure. We have to go back and watch that replay.
Something like that. Yeah.
Something like that.
That's really
yeah, exactly. That's completely made up. That's not true. Just to make sure we have an earmark on there for good compliance review later. Well, listen, so bottom line is, gang, I want to thank everybody for helping me get pushed into getting the user training, because it's not just the content, it's about the maintenance, and then it's also about delivering it. And I really can't thank you enough, Ken, for putting up with my my reach outs and everything else to finally get this together.
You've been awesome. You really have. You have impressed this entire team over here. Like, nobody's seen anybody work as hard as you do on this stuff. So it's very including me. You know me, I'm golfing most of the time. But
yeah, you're always golfing.
You grind constantly.
That's all you do.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, listen, everybody, thank you very much. You know me, I like to keep these things to 30 minutes. And I appreciate your time today. And I do want you to take away from here, of course, you've got to train. I love Ken's comment to be bold. I don't think I've ever said that, but I know I've danced around that topic. You've got to tell your team what you need, and you have to tell them what they need to know, so they make a decision. And we try to make training available and make it cost effective, and make sure your company can afford things that they need to keep the company moving and keep you growing and keep you well supported. So as always, thanks always for coming. Ken, welcome, and thank you very much for launching this. You can find out more information over at Knowledge Coop, and that's where you'll find us for Mastering Encompass for training for users. You guys have a great rest of your day. Ken, thanks as always.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Larry.
See you now. Bye-bye.
All right, see you.